Hello again, folks. Right, this is going to be my next project. I am making the famous Disney's Ariel Little Mermaid pink dress. The film, I have my photos here. And what I'm going to try and do with this dress is make it a little more realistic. So I tried to sort of look back at the period it was from-ish. And I thought it'd be nice if I could make it out of more realistic fabrics rather than just keeping it like plain pink and plain white, because I felt that was just too boring. But again, this is my own personal choice how I want it to look. I'm in no way saying that, you know, this is exactly how it's done, but I hope these videos help you folks out there. And I'm just going to do a mini description of what I hope to do. Now, I originally bought this pattern, McCall's M6139, but after making it up I really didn't like the bodice, though I felt like the pattern for these bits would come in handy for doing the paint bits on her, and around the back I've just got to probably extend and make them bigger, but we'll come back to that later. What I did use in the end, after looking through all my patterns, is this Wizard of Oz one, and I quite liked the pattern pieces for the Glinda outfit. Forgive me because this was ripped, but it's pattern Simplicity 4136. It's the adult pattern. But anyway, I decided to go ahead with the pieces from hers because they looked a lot nicer for the bodice. What was really hard about this is the sleeves, and I had to go on the internet and do a lot of research, and I found the Disneyland version had sort of the sleeves I was after. It's not the right colour. I don't know why on earth they've made it turquoise, because I don't remember wearing a turquoise dress in the original film, but anyway. I spent ages and ages trying to achieve these sleeves, and even Mum was really stuck because she didn't have really any idea. So after endless searching for days and days, I finally found somebody referring to these style sleeves as a raglan style sleeve, which means it extends from the neckline as opposed to going in a separate armhole down here somewhere, say. So after days and days of retrying to get this sleeve shape right, I'll show you what I came up with. This is the style sort of sleeve that we eventually have come up with. We did about 3 mock-ups before we got anything close, and even now I still think there might be something else going on in that sleeve on the Disney dresses that obviously we have no idea, but there we go. Alright, just showing you here my bodice pieces that I used from that Glinda pattern, as I said earlier. And this is the fabric I chose to use. It's a polyester taffeta with a lovely pink embroidery on it. It's like a nice dusky pink, and I thought that's probably more true colour to the time. So this is what I've gone with. Just fairly lightweight. And these are ones I've tapped and pinned together already, just to show you. That's like side front, side back, and then the back I will be using in a zip eventually, and it will join to a skirt, so, but that'll be later on. So there we go, we've got front, side back, and back. And I will do this again for all my lining pieces. They all have to be cut exactly the same. so I have to again cut another, like another 2 back pieces, another 2 side fronts, another 2 side backs, and another front piece. And I'm also going to try and stiffen it as well. I wasn't really sure if I wanted this bodice stiffening, but what I'm going to do later is I'm going to do one side with stiffener and one without, and use the sewing stuff. And then I'll decide which one I'm happier with. Because I don't know what it's going to turn out like on this fabric, so we'll experiment with that first, and then I'll just see how it goes. Okay. Right, what I am going to be doing as well is adding some piping down that piece and that piece and around that piece there, and again on that side, on the side back to side back. I just want to do this because I think it might look nice. So as I did like with my Rapunzel gown, you get some cord and you roll a piece of fabric over it, and at the moment I've just pinned it in place all the way along the strip. And you have to make them long enough, make sure that they're gonna fit. You've got enough from top to bottom. So if you make them too short, obviously you'll have to remake some more. So I've just cut like 4 of these strips for now. I just thought it would make a nice decorative piece on the bodice to make it look a little bit more fancy. Okay, I suppose we better start on some sewing.
Okay, we're now going to do the bodice, and we've got all our pieces cut. These are the side seams that will just be sewn together, but down the front seams and the back seams we're going to put some piping in, and we've already put the piping inside this one. It's basically a double thickness of material folded over a piece of any sort of thick string or piping or anything you've got, and then just tack that in place for now. Okay, starting with the middle front, we're going to be tacking the piece of piping along the edge like that. Okay, I've now tacked the piping strip along the same edge as the centre front. Tack about halfway up, don't go too high, and I put a pin through the piping material and the piping, just so that that doesn't come out when you move it about. The next step then will be to put it through your sewing machine and sew above your tacking, but not all the way up to the piping. You still need to leave a gap there. So just above where you put the tacking, that's where you'd be running a line of sewing. Right, if you're getting close, you can see where the line of stitches has, not that close, you can see where the line of stitches. Okay, we've now done a line of stitching, and you've made sure that you've left a slight gap between your piping and where the stitching is, because we're going to do another lot of stitching. And if I just turn this over, you can see where your line of stitches is. It doesn't matter if it's gone onto the tacking or not. You can take all those out later on. Okay, the next step will be to put your side panels on, and you'll do this in the conventional way by lining up the top and then pin and tack all the way down like you would with a normal section. Okay, we'll do that next. Tack the last section. Okay, we've now tacked all our sections together, and we're going to do the seams that need the piping doing first. So if you turn it onto the side where you can see the sewing has been done, what you're aiming for is that you've got to sew between the sewing line and the piping, and as close to the piping as you possibly can. You can just feel it underneath there. And this is the foot that you'll be using, or one similar to that, whichever one you've got, so that you can sew right up to the edge of the piping.
Okay, just quickly showing you what it looks like at this stage after we've sewn our piping in. This is the outside the bodice, and this was actually my first attempt at doing it. Mum did one, and this was my first attempt, and I can tell you I don't think I want to ever do that again in a hurry, because it was extremely difficult. But you know, for a first go, she said it was fine, so I'll go with that. Now, I did a trial run earlier to see what it was like with the stiffener and without the stiffener, as I said at the beginning video, because I hadn't decided. And it seemed like with the stiffener it held the bodice nice and straight, but without the stiffener it just didn't want to quite stay in shape the same way. So I'm going to go with stiffening it, and I'll just show you quickly, very briefly, how we go about doing that. Okay, here I have my lining pieces, back, side, front, and the first I've already done over here. As I said earlier, you have to cut your lining pieces exactly the same as you did your bodice pieces, so it's like basically making up another bodice. And what I do is pin and tack my stiffener onto one side just to hold it in place. And then I'll get my other piece of stiffener here, match it to the, make sure I've got the right piece, make sure it matches exactly, and I'll just get Mum to show you how to pin and tack it. Okay, just going to quickly show you about pinning on the stiffener to the lining. Right, after pinned the stiffener down to the lining, I then went to tacked, again a thread and needle. Use a thread that stands out so you can see it easier, and just go do really big stitches all the way around, but come quite a way in. Like, don't tack here on the edge or right on the edge there, because that's going to be attached to your next piece like so. So you don't want to tack too too far on the edge. And this also helps keep the stiffener in place next to the lining, so this just basically holds it there. And I have to do that for every other piece, so I might be busy for an hour or so I'll see you soon. Okay, one finished outer layer and one finished lining with stiffener.